Look, this isn't good. I'm not saying this will amount to anything. You know, a lot of these accusations sometimes are rooted in exaggeration and money grab intentions, but Puka Nacua, we've said it. No, nobody said it before we did. We've been saying it for a while. His personality is changing. And wide receivers often take so many headshots, and this guy's one of the most injury-prone players in the league. Imagine how many concussions he's had that has not been reported. The way he hits the ground. Players say they often have hundreds, not 10 or a dozen, hundreds of concussions that go unannounced and undocumented. And personality change happens with wide receivers very quickly when things start, revealing themselves, the potential injuries piling up. And you can sit here and say until you're blue in the face that this won't affect his value. And I'm not saying that it will. And we're going to go over in a minute why he's worth the risk, why he's not worth the risk. And honestly, redrafted doesn't concern me much. Dynasty, I have more concerns about Puka Nacua, and I'll get to those. He's not an avoid in Dynasty, but he's nowhere near the same value in Dynasty that he is in redraft. Redraft, you could argue him as the number one overall player in fantasy football 2026. He could be the number one overall pick. Even with all this stuff, he still could be the number one overall pick. But he's nowhere close to the number one, number two, number three, number four. Probably not even in the top 7 overall in Dynasty. I'll explain why. But let's break down this situation. Puka Nacua reportedly in the news. A woman in Los Angeles, according to TMZ, claims Puka Nacua made some anti-Semitic comments, which we heard some of that on the Aiden Ross live stream. Puka was repeating things that Aiden Ross was telling him to do, and there was some anti-Semitic messaging in the touchdown dance that Puka was trying to replicate. Puka reportedly didn't understand, and so there's explanation to some of that, and I'm not worried so much about that part. And then later, he bit her so hard, broke the skin. There's photos of the bite. Now, before you say, oh, it's all made up and the photos can be doctored, they'll be able to look at the bite if they wanted to in her shoulder. And he also reportedly bit her thumb and got in a van reportedly. This is all alleged, accusations. These are not facts. These are nothing until proven guilty, innocent. But there's a bite mark on her shoulder and deep impression, where it broke the skin. And a lot of people are using vampire emojis for Puka Nacua right now. But if they had to, I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying I know exactly where this is going to go. But if they had to match the dental records with her bite mark, they could. But is it something that she wanted? That's kind of where we believe that the Puka Nacua defense is going, because the things that have been said already, a temporary restraining order has been filed against Puka Nacua. This incident took place in December, at the tail end of December. A temporary restraining order has been filed against Puka Nacua. His personality's been all over the place. Wild man, alleged violence and erratic behavior and constant, barking. Anti-Semitic stuff is being used as a common theme across Puka Nacua's behavior lately. So it's weird that we're hearing all that. Going on live streams, kind of running his mouth, live streaming in the locker room when his own teammates have told him to stop. His behavior is completely changed from where it was. You could say it's fame, some sort of arrested development breaking out, and it's a big concern. His personality is 180 degrees in the other direction than it was 3 years ago. So we're here to break all this down. Again, this is all alleged stuff. Puka Nacua's attorney and Puka say that it's all BS and exaggeration. So that's the wording that was used in that makes me feel like the defense here is going to be, those are my teeth marks, but she wanted me to play and play we did. Reportedly, this took place in a Sprinter van where Puka Nacua apparently ushered her into the van, and that's where they hung out, and he bit her thumb, then he bit her shoulder. She was very uncomfortable. The night started off with the comments that we just alluded to, and so this is getting pretty concerning. There's a lot of information that someone says update the graphic. What do we have the wrong graphic up? I don't know what you're talking about. Update the graphic. Oh, update the. Okay, whatever, bro. All right, file on in. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. 141 of you in the building. We're live on Rumble as well. We're going to break down this situation. JaMarr Chase's value goes up, not just because of this situation. Again, I'm not sure how much, and we'll talk about it, how much I move Puka Nacua in redraft, in yearly league settings because of this kind of stuff. But he's due for a big fat contract extension. Maybe this is why we heard yesterday that they're far away from giving him said extension, because they want to make sure they get this thing ironed out. Even if they believe him and they're on his side or whatever, maybe they want the public, they knew the public would kind of lash out potentially, or there'd be some pressure with this thing emerging today and yesterday off of the back of the contract situation. But we heard yesterday that they're not close to a deal yet. This could be why. But I'll tell you why I do love Puka this year, and why I do think that he's a complete, not a void, but complete panic chamber player for Dynasty 2027 and beyond. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Through sheer science and intense aerodynamic study, the mullet of Puka Nacua has been reconstructed inside the Fantasy Football Show studios. This systematic balance of hair volume, mixed with both Quantum Atom fiber technology and L'Oreal shampoo and conditioner, creates a floating mechanism to which the world has never seen. Patent pending. To see this prototype in action, see Puka on Sundays as he floats around the field.
No one's saying Puka Nacua isn't the locked-in 1, 2, or 3 overall player. You could say top 5 because you might go running back, and then wide receiver, Puka Nacua. And that's fine. That isn't even a stance of, oh, I'm going to let this affect things. I'm going to put Puka Nacua 5th. We're talking about 5 amazing players. JaMarr Chase, JSM, Puka Nacua. You're a wide receiver type of drafter at the top of round 1. Then he's 3rd, I think, in the worst of case scenarios. Then Puka Nacua with this situation, I don't think he's missing any time because of this. This isn't this is like a sidebar situation that really doesn't, I think, affect any sort of, playing time. League's not going to come down on him unless this gets really, really bad. We'll see. Maybe there's more to the story. I don't think that this is going to be anything like that, but this is drawing attention to the greater problem and concern at hand, and that is Puka Nacua's personality change, his very public personality change. And a lot of people are going to say, don't worry, he's fine. He's got to catch his footballs. He's fine. Just throw him. Like, I understand. And that's why in 2026, not too worried. Like, top 5 lock for right now. But does he slide down to 3 out of the 3 wide receivers because of this? Maybe, maybe not. The JaMarr Chase stuff we'll go over in a second. To spoil it, if anybody's wondering what happened, it's Joe Flacco was re-signed. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's a security blanket. We talked about it yesterday, that if something happens to Joe Burrow and Joe Flacco's not there, which is he wasn't there yesterday, then there's concern that the football can be delivered. We saw that with JaMarr Chase vanishing before Joe Flacco last year when Joe Burrow was down and out. And then Joe Flacco came in and saved the day, and JaMarr Chase's value spiked back up to glory. So Joe Flacco being on a Bengals roster is fantastic. It's a security blanket. And it does give me a little more caution to lean toward the guy that's consistently in the news, the guy that's consistently in the tent, the guy that's consistently in the locker room, injured every game regardless of playing all games. It makes me say to myself, okay, I don't know if Stafford goes down and he's got a tremendously concerning back situation regardless of getting through last year. What happens to Puka Nacua, especially up here with no targets and Stafford not there feeding him? Can you imagine what kind of diva type of behavior we'd see if Puka Nacua was not being fed the ball and they started losing? I mean, can anybody imagine this man unraveling with a lack of production, no Stafford, the team losing, no direction? I mean, this is a case of we knew it, hindsight's 2020 we've ever seen, And JaMarr Chase at least goes in there, puts the work in. Joe Burrow's down, he's still producing. Not saying he wouldn't necessarily be very good, but could he even be remotely close to the same player without Matthew Stafford? The answer is no. So this man would unravel the way that he's acting right now without Stafford and without production, without fame, without the spotlight on him. He just got the spotlight on him now and he loves it. He loves it. He's eating it up. And if it vanishes, I worry about how he would act. So the other concern too is, if let's say from a dynasty perspective, Stafford gets injured or moves teams, I don't think he will. I think he retires or he re-ups again if they have success or whatever. But this could be Stafford's last year. His back is not a fixable thing, really. It's going to get progressively worse each offseason. In fact, don't be shocked if you hear he's shut down to heal it, and then he's got to come back again. If you remember, Stafford literally didn't do anything until the 11th hour in the offseason in like August because he was trying to get his back to be as healthy as possible. Then come back. Would he be ready for week one? Remember all that? And the Rams were amazing. Stafford was amazing. The entire team was amazing. It wouldn't shock me at all if there was turmoil. We've seen it before where one year there's success, then an injury-plagued season, where this man escaped injury all year long despite being in the tent or the locker room every other week or every week practically, and then Stafford escaped injury. It wouldn't be crazy to me if our high expectations get squashed because of injury. When you avoid overall injury one year, teams tend to suffer injury the next year. It's just the laws of fantasy football physics. But this problem right here, I don't know where it's going to go. I'm not here to tell you to avoid him in redraft. I'm not here to tell you that this is going to get worse. I don't know. All we know is that there's a accusation against him, a temporary restraining order against him from an incident that occurred in late December where Puka Nacua reportedly bit alleged victim on the thumb and on the shoulder. There's photos of it. The impression of his teeth are in her skin. It's not a photo that looks like, oh, this was playful. It looks pretty crazy. It broke the skin. The impression is so deep that the photo was taken much later and the impression is still there. If she's lying, they'll be able to map the markings to his teeth if they wanted to. Like there's, and that's why I think again, as I said earlier, the kind of seeds have been planted for the defense of, hey, this is being exaggerated. And that she's, things are being said and made to make out like as if this wasn't something that she was also, a part of, where it's like him doing something that she was not wanting. But regardless, it's a problem, right? And his behavior matches the descriptions of this situation. He's erratic. He's been saying crazy things on live streams. He seems to be a little bit of the unpredictable, wild, reactions, not thinking before he acts type of behavior. And so like this is something to think about, from a long-term perspective. And the fact that I keep telling everybody that these wide receivers get concussed and take hits that nobody knows about. Everyone's saying, oh, he hasn't had a concussion before. Are you kidding me? I can't even begin to guess how many concussions Puka Nacua's had in his career. If I had to throw a wild number out, this is a total guess, I would say beyond 50. Beyond 50, they don't report all concussions. Wide receivers half the time don't even know that they're concussed. How many times growing up have they gotten their bell rung? Concussions are a new concern. And so growing up in Pop Warner in high school, he probably is used to the feeling of having that, oh my God, my bell got rung. Let me get back into the huddle, shake my head, and get out there. And so concussive states are very, very, there's a wide variety of states that you can be in where you even kind of don't even know you're concussed. You just feel like your bell's been rung. This guy runs his body into the ground. He sacrifices himself, and to his credit, we appreciate that about Puka. Like, nobody plays with more heart and soul, determination than Puka. We respect that about the man, and I love that about Puka's game. I think he plays with his heart. He's a lion out there on the field, and while I want to back him as a person because I think that there was and could still be a genuine person, you know, at right here sitting in front of us, I don't know that I recognize him at times, and that's a problem. And it's probably a growing problem. So we'll see what happens. And I can tell you this, when personalities get changed like this, look at AB, and there's a lot of concern for the head, you know, shots, a lot of CTE concerns. No one's saying he has that. You can't claim that. You need to do an autopsy to even find out if someone does have CTE. And so there's no way to know when someone's alive whether they have CTE. So you can't claim that someone has CTE. You can speculate. But what I do know is that when you have personality changes and you're constantly taking headshots, there's some good thinking, and I think good amount of evidence that the correlation of the changed behavior headshots and some sort of head trauma, maybe it's CT, maybe it's something else, maybe it's just concussions. There's something there. And so with Puka Nacua, I don't think this is just a case of that fame got a hold of him and this is how he's responding to it. Never been famous before, really. Now he's famous. Never dated a bunch of different, levels and tiers of women. And now he's like, man, I have access that I've never had before. I'm just going to live in the moment. There's part of that does make me feel like he is going through just that part at times. And then other times I'm like, no. His personality seems very, very altered. And the one thing I was trying to say, and I keep derailing my point here. The one thing I could tell you, though, is with personality change relating to head trauma, let's just say, and this is all speculative, you can't control it. So there's no dialing this back. And that's going to be some of the true evidence of whether there is something really wrong. If he can tone it down and contain it, then most likely there is more of the fame factor in the handling of it badly than there is some sort of head trauma or something he can't control. Because you can't tame AB. Think about Antonio Brown. There's no talking to him. There is no reeling him in. He is in his own world. And you tell him, hey, you need to do this or it looks bad. It doesn't even penetrate his brain. His brain is on a whole nother level. So I think we'll kind of know based on how he starts curbing his behavior or not curbing his behavior moving forward of whether there's really a problem at the root of this. And, early indications, it's just guesswork that Puka Nacua might have a personality change that has been forced by, I believe, and this is just my opinion, and there's no facts here. It's all just speculation and opinion. My opinion is this is due to the play, the physical, crazy, rough, play, putting his body, his head, his entire body at risk every play, not just once in a while. No one puts their body at risk. And again, hats off to the man for playing with such heart and determination. But we'll know soon enough, I think, whether he can control and curb the behavior, and if he can't, then we know there's something bigger at play, because no one with the trauma of Antonio Brown or others can curb it. You can't contain it. You can't cage it. It's your mind is not in the same place it was. There's no talking to you. There's no, hey, behave. You're an erratic person. And he shows all the signs of that. And if that's fame that got to him and is making him erratic, he's handling it very badly. But it doesn't feel like just fame. It feels like something else going on. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that hate this conversation. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to come in here and they're going to say things like, you're ridiculous, this is just clickbait, and you're just looking for views. And you can think whatever you want. I really don't care. I'm here to give you my interpretation. This is my show. This is my platform. I am a talking head. I'm not here to break news. I'm here to dissect and analyze and give you my interpretation of the news. I'm a news interpreter. I'm a talking head. I'm a predictor. I am not a newsbreaker, factual news breaking person. I have a journalist. I have a degree from one of the most prestigious journalism colleges in the world. I very much respect journalism. Journalism is dead. And too many people out there they have a platform, they talk to thousands, millions of people and have no journalism experience, have no reporting experience, have no fantasy football or NFL radio experience, have no scouting experience, and they're out there talking and giving their interpretation and breaking news and pretending to have sources. So many people out there are just completely disrespecting the entire industry. But and while I do feel I bring a respect level of understanding to all of that to the table, I make no mistakes or convey it in a way that should have anybody confused. I make it clear as day that this is an opinion-based show. These are my opinions. I'm here to give you my take on it. I'm here to interpret the news. I'm here to give you projections, predictions. Am I always going to be right? No. Am I even making a finite claim about any of this? No. This is us saying there's a lot here. There's a lot of variables at play. No one knows what's truly going on. Is there a chance that Puka is just handling fame badly? Yes. Is there a chance there's some underlying condition or trauma at play here? Yes. The answer is yes to all of that. There is a possibility of all of that. And it could be a combination of the fame, having trauma, and not being able to handle it well because of the trauma and because he's not doing well with handling the fame, or he thinks he's doing well. He's going and having the time of his life, which is fine, but he's got no filter. I own Smitty, bark for me. How about this, Cat? How about we just block you? Unless you don't mean what you're saying, you can clarify it right now and backtrack so we know. Maybe you didn't mean that to me. You can go ahead and tuck your tail between your legs real quick. But I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance to roll that back, Cat, before you're out of here. How's that? Puka Nacua, we'll have more on this, and we'll talk about it when the phone line's open for sure. I'll monitor what Cat responds. Cat, Cat, am I getting you wrong? TMZ is trash. I own Smitty. Bark for me. What do you mean, who me? What do you mean, who me? You own what, Cat? Go ahead, tuck your tail between your legs real quick, or I'll just boot you. Nice tuck. I'm sorry. There you go. That's all you need to do. Okay. Puka Nacua, we'll talk about that on the phone line. JaMarr Chase, boy, did we not just discuss this situation? Travis was on the phone line. We started talking about how this situation for JaMarr Chase is a little bit more volatile than JSN's because of Joe Burrow's injury history, because of JaMarr Chase's injury history, because of a lot of different factors. And you look at the wide receivers, JSN, JaMarr Chase, and Puka Nacua, these are the top three wide receivers in fantasy football, period. Cat, that's why I like you, pal, because you didn't try and double down. JSN has a beautiful, safe landing or environment. You got Sam Darnold, who loves to throw to him. The Seahawks are kind of falling apart a little bit here and there. You know, anybody that thinks that JSN and the Seahawks are on their way to repeating, I laugh. But I will say they're still a damn good football team. They're still damn good. Are they number one in the conference? No. Are they number one in their division? Maybe not. Are they number two in their division? Maybe not. The West is very tough. The Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks could be third in the division. And if anybody wants to call in, the phone line will be open in a minute for you to run your mouth and embarrass yourself about the Seahawks and how you think they're going to replicate what they did last year with all of the missing pieces. Feel free to dial in. We can dunk on you if you want. But JSN, from a fantasy perspective, couldn't be in a safer place because with the Seahawks losing assets and probably playing from behind a little more, having to throw in the third, fourth quarter a little more because they're a lesser team today than they were yesterday, all bodes well. Recipe for success for JSN. Not to mention, out of the three wide receivers, this was yesterday, mind you, JaMarr Chase, Puka Nacua, and JSN. Injury-prone quarterback in Joe Burrow. We love him to death, but it's a concern. No backup quarterback that shows any promise. This was yesterday. Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, injury-prone and a walking time bomb with that back. And an erratic player that relies on the peppered targets of Stafford. Concern. JSN has mundane, very boring, but very solid for him Sam Darnold that just delivers the ball to him over and over and over. They didn't throw as much as you would want. And then you have Jalen Milroe backing him up, who I quietly love. A little bit safer security environment, if you will. And so Travis and I talked about, well, it was Flacco last year that allowed JaMarr Chase to have even more security than JSN in terms of the environment. Well, guess what? Flacco's back. I smell meatloaf. Meatloaf. Flacco's back. Flacco's back. And that's fantastic. Mother freaking fantastic. Where's my Flacco graphic? I don't even think I have the graphic on screen here, but Joe Flacco re-upping with the Bengals is fantastic. Couldn't be safer place for JaMarr Chase to play football in 2026. Now, he does come with a little bit more injury risk himself than JSN. Anybody can get hurt. Everybody's got that random risk of an ACL tear non-contact. I don't even include that when I talk about injury risk. Injury risk is the outside factor of that, of he just has a lot of injuries. JSN has not. So he comes with a little bit more injury risk, but at the same time, he also has the most capability of having a 20 touchdown season. Like JaMarr Chase could have a 21 touchdown season. And with Flacco in town as the backup, we love that. And so JaMarr Chase's value up. Now, I think it would be safe to say yesterday, the lean might have been JSN, Puka, JaMarr Chase for me. With this news and the potential slow unraveling of Puka Nacua and his mental state or his ability to handle the fame, however you want to look at it. Smitty, you can't prove it. I'm not saying I'm proving or claiming. We don't know what it is. A lot of moving parts. But with the way things feel, mixed with Stafford's back probably being way more risky this year coming up than last year, even though he made it through, but it was a grueling season. I'm saying JSN, JaMarr Chase, Puka Nacua now as my 1, 2, 3 wide receiver ranking for 2026. And you could argue these guys are neck and neck now with the Joe Flacco security blanket that is sitting there now in Cincinnati that we saw flourish over there for Chase and the boys. So it's going to be one tied for first, probably wide receiver 1. This is my third wide receiver for 2026. Now, could there be a way that I could maneuver somebody else right next to Puka or get someone to inch closer to him, I would say in redraft, not right now. But I'm not an idiot. And I do sense that this is either going to be dialed back, Puka's behavior, and they're going to curb him a little bit, which will be evidence that he's not like far gone, or maybe it is just him handling fame bad. But if we get a sense that he's untamable and you can't control him, and nothing you say to him, his camp, his attorneys, his close, group, if they can't reel him in at all, then we know something else stronger than anybody's desire to see him behave well. Like you can't tame it. We know something else is at play here. So I'll have to give you an assessment as we go. But right now, I think I still have to lock Puka Nacua into the 3 spot. There's just no way I can, until we get further evidence that he can't control it, which is evidence that there's something wrong. Like think about this. He went on Aiden Ross, made a fool of himself. Aiden Ross did not help matters. That was partly Aiden Ross set him up for failure on that live stream. Made some maneuvers and stuff such that he said he didn't understand what he was doing. He was just copying Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross made him make some pretty offensive gestures and whatever. He's going to do a weird touchdown dance around it. Then Puka goes, live consistently in the locker room when his teammates are like, Puka, stop. You can't live stream in here. And he's like, I'm not live streaming. And he just keeps doing it. And he's completely oblivious and in his own world, walking away from his teammates, live streaming. People are walking by and they're like uncomfortable. Like, bro, we're in the locker room right now. I'm in a towel. What are you doing? Stop live streaming. He's like, we're not live streaming. We're not. Like, he's just erratic behavior. You can say, oh, it's funny. No, it's not funny because he's not doing it as a joke. He's doing it erratically. And then all the things he's doing, on social media, all these podcasts, the things he accidentally says and has to take back. I mean, there's been more than one occasion. I'm just feeling like this thing smells pretty bad. Let's talk about Puka Nacua real quickly from a production standpoint. The reason why it's so easy to be like, okay, we got to give Puka the nod here for 2026 and ignore all that. This is the fantasyfootballshow.com player page. Look at all the information on this thing. Look at the advanced stats section on the right side of the screen here, or now on the left side. Receptions first, 129 receptions. This is the advanced stats on every single player page on the fantasyfootballshow.com. Yak yardage, yards after catch, first place. Yards after contact for wide receivers, first place. Catchable footballs, this is probably the most important stat that feeds everything, 133, first place. Broken tackles, part of why he's always injured, first place. 20 plus yards, first place. 30 plus yards, first place. Receiving yards, second. Targets, third. Receiving touchdowns, fourth. He was a phenom. He was an absolute straight phenom. And then we look at JaMarr Chase's player page, just to give you a sense, and he dealt with a ton of turmoil, so understand that. Targets first. What was Puka second in targets? Puka was targets third. Okay, third. JaMarr Chase, first in targets. Receptions second. Yards after catch second. Catchable football second. Target share third. Yards after contact third. Red zone targets third. Receiving yards fourth. Air yards fourth. Broken tackles sixth. But did all that with a broken team, with a broken Joe Burrow. JSN is even, is equally, if not more impressive. He's got so many of top 3 finishes across the board. It's crazy. And here, look at, I'll take a screenshot of JaMarr Chase, JSN. And these player pages are unbelievable, guys. Go check them out. I'm so proud of the fantasyfootballshow.com. It is literally out of all my YouTube success and videos and all that, like, I'm more proud of this right now. I've been doing content. It's been my bread and butter for the beginning. Like, this is what I started in the business, doing radio for 19 straight years and content. And I've done content ever since. Content's been bread and butter of the channel. But I just revamped it in a way that's just unbelievable this year. Look at this player page. Look at all the videos. These are the videos on YouTube that you can sort by outlook, by articles, week 1 projections. You can do a lineup calculator. Just select a player you want to compete against JSN. Hit calculate. It'll tell you who will score more in week 1. This is the trade calculator. Already pre-populates JSN into that. You can add multiple players to that. Redraft rank up here is wide receiver number 2. Wide receiver 1, and I'm going to move JaMarr Chase up tonight. I think Chase is the number 1, but I'm sorry, Chase is the number 3. I'm going to move JSN to 1, Chase to 2, Puka to 3 tonight. Wide receiver 1. Okay, so it does show 1. Okay. 70, he's 2 overall because I have Bijan Gibbs ahead of him. That makes sense. Okay. $71 redraft value, $71 dynasty value in auction. Wide receiver 1, number 3 overall. Advanced stats for Puka Nacua. Or JSN. This is JSN. Advanced stats for JSN. Let me move JSN over here so you guys know who I'm talking about. Receptions first. Target share 1. 40-yard catches 1. 50-yard catches 1. Air yards second. 20-yard receptions second. 30-yard receptions second. Receptions third. Games, a lot of people are going to tie for third on that. But it's important data to know. If you want to know how many games a player played, you go to my player page. Targets fourth. I mean, all 3 of these guys are just through the roof. Like, you almost get done looking at all 3 and you're like, never mind. I thought I had an idea that I would like this player more than anybody given those advanced stats, but all 3 were just completely dominating the top 3. So those are the top 3 wide receivers. There really is no argument unless you're going to predict Puka Nacua to completely unravel, which is possible, but I don't know that I would say that he's ready. It takes a few years if in fact there is a problem with Puka Nacua. It takes multiple years for this to start unraveling. And we don't know. We don't know what's going on. We also have a piece of wide receiver news right here that the Eagles aren't done adding wide receivers, signing Elijah Moore to a 1-year deal. Now, Elijah Moore is not some, world star, but it does make you wonder what they're doing with the wide receiver room because they're adding multiple wide receivers. Are they preparing for no AJB? You have to prepare, right? Because if you wait until the trade to not telegraph the moves, the players get signed and you lose out on adding the player depth. Could mean AJ Brown trade is in the works. So stay tuned for that. Phone lines are open. Let's have some discussion. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in. Flacco was not that good. I don't know if you watched JaMarr Chase, bro. I don't know if you just saw the stats that I pulled up, but Flacco had a big reason of putting JaMarr Chase on that map, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't think you were listening, but that's okay. That's all right. Travis, you're live.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Yeah, so the Puka thing is interesting because I think he's kind of polarizing, and there's groups of people who are just die hard Puka, like no matter what he will do no wrong, and they'll stick with him. And then there's other people where if anything like this comes up, any type of legal case or slip up or anything, they completely throw players away. But I think you're going to get quite a mix of opinions on this, and I think it's just like important to stay kind of measured in these situations and not fall to one side too much one way or the other.
That's why I've been trying to be careful. Let me merge Landman in real quick. Landman, hold on one second. I'm gonna merge you in. Just mute yourself. Glad you're here. We haven't heard from Landman in a while. New Age Outlaw and Hag both dropping memberships. New Age dropped 5 gifted memberships on the Rumble. Hag dropped one as well over on Rumble. Hag, appreciate you gifting the membership. And then real quickly before I go back to Travis, then over to Landman, we got to celebrate these super chats. Overcome, you still here? Brady, Overcome, and Hebrew Hammer dropping a 50 wad over on the Rumble. The Rumble is getting close to 8K, by the way. Been saying it for a while now. What up, Smitty? What's up, boys? I think he's referring to the Puka Nacua situation. Thank you, my boy, for dropping the $50 holler.
Give me $50 holler. I get by the brother Smitty. Give me $50.
It's hammer time.
Thank you, Hammer Time. Appreciate you. And Overcome is still here. So, Overcome, thank you for the $20 holler, my boy. Let's see here. Overcome says Gibbs, Achane, Adunze for Hampton, Walker, Garrett Wilson, 27 first rounder. Where the first rounder is important. So we'll assume mid to maybe early, just to give you a barometer. I posted it on a forum. People who I know wouldn't say the BS they're saying to my face are lighting me up. I won't be convinced it's terrible. Okay. Gibbs, Achane, and Dunze for Hampton, Walker, Garrett Wilson, 27 first. It's called mid to early.
Does that mean he gave up the Gibbs side?
I think, he's had to have, because Achane and Gibbs is a lot to surrender. Look, Overcome, I love you, pal. And I'm not saying you got blasted into oblivion, but I would much rather have Gibbs and Achane and Dunze than Hampton, Walker, Garrett Wilson, and 27 first. If you told me that was Jeremiah Smith guaranteed locked in, I think we have a different conversation. You know,
I was going to say there's a lot hinging on that pick.
Yeah, let me get Eric merged in here. Eric, mute yourself real quickly. I'll be right with you. Just please hit mute. So, Overcome, you know I love you. I'm always going to tell you my honest opinion. I'm always going to shoot you straight. I know that's why you super chat me, and that's why you're asking the question. You know I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I would rather, by quite a bit, have the Achane and Gibbs side. Number one, Gibbs is the number one overall Dynasty player to me. Achane's a top 8 to 10 overall Dynasty player, which means that you have given up the two best players in the deal already. You could argue Hampton's better than Achane or equal to in Dynasty. I'm fine with that. So let's just throw that part out, even though I could see that for this year, Hampton, but I do think Achane's better. But the situation's great for Hampton.
Tough there too.
Yeah. So let's go Achane, Hampton.
But you could argue it.
Yeah, let's throw Achane, Hampton out just for argument's sake. So it's Gibbs and Adunze versus Walker, who's older with an injury history, who we love for 2026. And I love him in Dynasty as a buy low. And you take the gamble that he gives you 2 years, and that's probably all you're going to get is about 2 years, then some injuries. But I like it. But this is paying a different price tag. This isn't buying Walker low. So you're talking about Gibbs. We're taking Hampton and Achane out. So Gibbs and Adunze versus Walker. Garrett Wilson, who's in just an absolute abyss. That I don't even know what Garrett Wilson could do over in New York. But he's okay. I still would take him. I'd still probably buy super low, but I don't even want to draft him at the cost of entry. So Gibbs and Adunze for Walker. Wilson. If that's not Jeremiah Smith, there's no argument that Gibbs is not better. So I would say that I don't like this trade. I'm sorry. And the chat might give you some more insight too. Chat, can you vote on this on a scale of well, just call it even, very bad, okay. Like give him some sort of like, okay, he withdrew it. Thank God you didn't. Okay, so you're offering to get. Are you like tell me what's going on? What do you mean you withdrew it? Because that means that the person didn't accept it. So thank God. Or you just is the person offended that you offered this? Is this what you're talking about? They're blasting you because you offered it, and no one's. You're thinking it's an even trade. I think that's probably what more is going on. But thank God you're not getting rid of that. The Gibbs side's way better. Okay, this one from Brady. Puka, Waddle, or Devontae Smith at the 5.2. I'm taking Puka, and it's not even close. Puka has a chance to be a top 5 wide receiver. Waddle, very overrated in a situation where I think he and Sutton are probably very similar in an erratic offense that I like a lot and improves, and Denver is obviously great on paper, but it's still an erratic offense. Devontae Smith, if A.J. Brown's gone, is a much closer debate later. but it's Ibuka, tier break, Waddle, Devontae Smith even. Devontae Smith over Waddle if A.J. Brown gets moved. Best fantasy football show on YouTube for any doubting Dannies out there. Thank you. Appreciate you, my boy, for dropping the super chat. So I got Hammers, Brady's, and Overcome super chat, and then recognizing Hag and Overcome over on the Rumble. Landman just hung up, unfortunately. I was wanting to hear what Landman was going to say. I'm sure he'll call back. Eric, you're live, then back over to Travis. Eric, you're live.
Hey, what up, Smitty?
What's up?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Puka, dude. I got bad vibes. It's just weird to have a grown man filming in the locker room. You got to know better, dude. That's just weird. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, and the people that defend it are like, bro, he's just live streaming. Like the players, it's not that serious. The players are not that mad about it. It's like the players are not happy about it. Like you see them walk up,
it's like a cardinal rule.
Yeah, they're like changing, and they're talking trash, and they're maybe having private conversations they don't want even their family to hear. And Puka Nacua is live in the locker room while people are walking around in towels behind him, and they have no idea he's live streaming. Not to mention, I don't know, you can't, like, you technically shouldn't even be doing that. Probably per IG, like you can't go in there, but yeah, I don't know, bro. Like there's definitely something changed in Puka that if it is driven by his inability to handle fame properly, it's probably the worst case of it we've seen in a while, and it's possible that's what's at play. And it could be that there's a little bit of head trauma or something mixed with that, and it's lesser concerning, but right now, my guess is that this is going in a direction where he's only going to get worse, not better. And not to mention, the reason I say that is because, again, as easy as it is to pretend that Puka Nacua is the best receiver in the league. And honestly, he is one of the most skilled players at a lot of different things. He is more of a product of Matthew Stafford and McVay than he is the best receiver in the league. With Matthew Stafford, McVay, and that offense, he is the best receiver potentially in the league. And you can't separate situation from player unless the situation's about to sever itself from the player due to injury, like Stafford, walking away from the game after 1 year. Stafford can't stay healthy. So we're about to see the situation and player separate. You can't separate it when you're evaluating it, but you can predict what could happen when it does indeed separate. And there's no way Puka Nacua is going to survive as the number one wide receiver when Stafford is gone. It just can't happen. Will he still be a top 10 wide receiver? Yeah, but this is not a player that necessarily belongs where he's ranking. Even though we don't care, we're still ranking him, drafting him, and relishing in the glory that is Puka Nacua in a LAR uniform catching footballs from Matthew Stafford. But make no mistake about it, we saw Cooper Kupp in this same spot. And how short-lived was Cooper Kupp? Very short-lived. How quickly did they discard Cooper Kupp without even a shred of dignity at all? They just threw Cooper Kupp to the curb. And everybody said Cooper Kupp was going to be the best player ever. The guy was so short-lived, people were acting like Cooper Kupp wasn't ranked as high or maybe higher or at least the same as Puka Nacua. Oh, but Nacua is different. He's a dog. No, if you get back into the headspace you were in when Cooper Kupp was the Triple Crown winner, there was no one better than Cooper Kupp. He got forgotten and moved on from like that. There's no coincidence that Nacua happened to step right in and become the next Cooper Kupp. It's because Stafford makes it happen. It takes a certain amount of talent. You can't. Whittington wouldn't just become Puka Nacua, but there was thoughts that Whittington might be the guy, and it ended up being Puka. So we'll see what happens, but for those thinking that Puka's here to stay for the long term as the number one wide receiver, number two, I have bad news for you. He requires the environment he's in. When he has it, he's as good as anybody. But this is not Marshall Faulk or LaDainian Tomlinson to Arian Foster back in the day. Arian Foster was the number one running back in fantasy, but he was nowhere near as good as Marshall Faulk or Tomlinson or Barry. But he played like it because of situation. That's what Puka Nacua is, whether you like to hear it or not. Let me go over to. I'm sorry, Eric. What else did you have?
I got one question for you. I took your advice. I couldn't get Travion, but I moved Malik Willis in a second for Marvin Harrison Jr. Are we optimistic what we're hearing from the Flair that they're going to use him more in the middle and get some more design targets for him? Do we see a bounce back coming for MHJ, or is this all Wilson?
Man. Look, there were moments where we thought we were going to get MHJ bounce back, production, and he couldn't stay healthy. And I don't think it's fair to say that if he stayed healthy, he wouldn't have relished like Michael Wilson did. He may have. And there was like a moment, I forget what game it was, where they connected and we're like, oh God, this is what MHJ's been missing. And then he got hurt, and then Wilson went on a tear. But I will probably tell you this, that I don't understand. It's not that I don't like MHJ. It's not that I'm not drafting MHJ. I certainly am drafting MHJ at a certain clip, not an oversaturation, of course, but I'm definitely in the MHJ. I'll take a spot 1 out of 10 or 12 leagues. It's like a less than 10% amount of shares. But I don't understand why Wilson's going after him in ADP. Because the situation is Brissett is back. Brissett made Wilson into a star. And the organization has talked up Wilson a ton. They love him. And if Brissett were gone, I might venture to say, I don't know if Wilson will rebound. But part of being a great receiver is being put in the position to get volume so that you can curb your talents and weaknesses and build on your weaknesses and make them strengths and develop. Like, development's key. Wilson wasn't developing at all. Before MHJ landed on the roster, which wasn't that long ago, Wilson was in Dynasty circles kind of talked about as a quiet, he could be that, I want to say like Alec Pierce type value or something. And then MHJ landed on the roster via the draft, and everybody kind of discarded Wilson. And rightly so, because Wilson vanished. But Kyler Murray can't support multiple wide receivers. I think he'll be okay with JJ. And we can talk about that. We already have, but we can talk about that again later. But Wilson was the one producing, and the situation is, even though Petsing's gone, it is the same. So I do like MHJ. I don't think we're wrong about him as a prospect, but it's still TBA whether it's going to all come together, kind of like BTJ. Because they both have the talent, but are they in their own head at this point? What are they going to struggle with? Can he stay healthy? He struggled with drop footballs. Like, there was a lot going on. It wasn't just that he was injured. He came back. He started dropping footballs. He made some good plays. He made some bad plays. But there was a lot of concerning situations going on, multiple different concerning things, whereas Wilson was balling. So for me, Wilson's the guy. I would take Wilson over MHJ if I had to. In some cases, I've taken them both in best ball. I don't know how I feel about tying myself to the Cardinals like that in very many leagues, but I did grab both of them as my third and fourth wide receiver. I felt pretty good about it. I'm like, damn. I think I have ETN, Lamar Jackson. I want to say like JSN and another really good receiver. I want to say like Rice variety. And then I got Wilson and MHJ and only with one running back so far. But in a best ball big board, I felt really good to have 4 wide receivers. These guys sharing the third and fourth role. But I don't know, man. Your guess is as good as mine. What?
Would you rather have Cardinal Tate on the Browns, Mekhi Lemon on the Dolphins, or keep with MHJ? Last question.
Say it again. I couldn't hear your dog in the background.
If we get some landing spots, would you rather have MHJ as it stands, Cardinal Tate on the Browns, or Mekhi Lemon on the Dolphins?
Tate, Browns, Mekhi Lemon, Dolphins. Well, I don't want Mekhi Lemon. I mean, I don't mind him, but I'm not targeting him like over guys like Tate. And if Tate's at number 1 somewhere, then the answer is Tate. If Jordan Tyson's number 1 somewhere, the answer is Jordan Tyson. So give me Tyson or Tate over Mekhi Lemon if they're number 1 somewhere. But Cleveland, Tate, man. I don't know. I like Shador a lot, but That's a tough one. I'd rather have Tyson like in, let's say, Miami or something like that, but we'll see. MHJ is hard to bank on, hard to completely neglect. I think that at this stage right now, from a redraft perspective, you probably lean toward MHJ by a hair. Dynasty perspective, I lean toward Tate or Tyson. I'd rather lean Tyson. Hopefully he's in the better situation. But if he's in a crappy situation, then I'd go Tate over MHJ. Dynasty, I'd maybe slightly, barely, for the moment, I could change tomorrow, lean MHJ in redraft. All right, my boy. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Later. All right. Let me go over to Hammer, then to Travis. Sorry. Hammer, go ahead. You're live.
What's going on? Just being like the value that it's at, I know, Chase, JSN, and honestly, if I'm in the first round, I'm taking CD over Puka, just for I don't want to lose my draft in the first round. Again, I know there are a bunch of people that love Puka, whatever. Yeah, this was kind of the icing on the cake for me. And Stafford, oh yeah, I mean he's an absolute dog. But if one hit, he's done. I'd rather take the safety. And Lamb even had a down year.
Real quickly, Hammer, I'm sorry to interrupt you. BBQ dropping 50 gifted memberships.
Smitty, everybody's pretty.
Thank you. Keep going, Hammer. Sorry. Amazing.
I know most people are probably in the chat not liking that take at all, but I mean, if it was a third, but this is a top pick. I'm not rolling the dice. If I want a receiver, I'd rather be safe. That's really my take. But I mean, I think this is actually a lot bigger than you even could describe, even though you obviously made the case for why he's just
I made the case for months or early a year. Over a year I've made the case. Luis, 10 gifted memberships as well. Luis, I'm sorry I didn't see that until now. Luis, thank you. And BBQ, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this for over a year, bro. I've been saying this for well over a year, that Puka, there's a personality change at play. I don't know if I'm where you're at, where I'm taking him over Lamb, especially in redraft. If we're talking about Dynasty, definitely a different conversation. In redraft, I'm still willing to take this gamble, but I'm telling you that I'm waiting. I'm on the fence about, waiting to jump off on one side or the other on redraft if there's more that comes out. But right now, I believe that I don't know if it's going to affect his 2026 playing time yet. So that's why I'm not going to change anything. But the fact that Stafford has, and I do think I'm going to give Stafford the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to predict him to get hurt like in week 4 or week 5. I'm going to bank on Puka having a baller year, like almost like a one last time, and then take it, season by season. Because if Stafford's not there, Puka Nacua, as we know it, no longer exists. We just have to see what is left after the dust settles. Is he a wide receiver 6? Is he wide receiver 5? Is he wide receiver 4? Is he wide receiver 8? Does he crack? And if Stafford does go down, though, the risk of why, I think what I would do, instead of talk about Lamb over Puka, which would be kind of a wild selection, it would be like, what running back can I take?
Well, if there's a running back there, yeah. No. But I'm talking strictly receiver. I mean, Lamb had his worst season, really, and he was hurt all year, and he still played. He had over 1,000 yards, and
but I would say, like, if Stafford goes down, Puka Nacua of JaMarr Chase, JSN, and maybe St. Brown and a couple others, Puka is the least likely player to handle it well. I think he will probably crack and not do well. Like, he's the kind of guy that's going to throw his hands up and walk to the sideline and be like, you guys aren't trying, I'm out of here. Like, he's that kind of, he's that emotional type of player right now, to where if they don't get him the ball, he's king of the world right now in his own eyes. Like he is taking fame very strangely, and I think he believes. And this is going to be the weird part too. Is like what happens to his contract? You know, the Rams are most certainly needing to ink him to a new deal. Could they even? Is it even remotely possible that they wait until next offseason to address this? Maybe. Yep. I think what matters is how this thing unfolds in the next couple of weeks. Hold on one second, Hammer. How it unfolds in the next couple of years. How it unfolds in the next.
This guy's doing this without even getting paid.
Yeah. I think it matters of how this unfolds in the next couple of weeks and really month, whether Puka Nacua ends up getting like, and this is why yesterday we heard yesterday that Puka Nacua and the Rams were not close at this time to getting that extension inked. And it was kind of a weird report, but this might be the reason why. They might be being like, we need to wait and see this thing kind of play out. But if it stays quiet, kind of like Rashee Rice's situation, it stayed very quiet. It's kind of gone dormant right now. We don't know if it'll pop back up, but it's gone dormant. And so it's been quiet. If that's the way this Puka Nacua situation goes and he's able to dial everything back, stay kind of out in the shadows, not make a big scene, then I could see him getting the contract extension. But you do wonder, like, what is in store? Like, Travis, I'll go back to you real quick, then back over to Hammer. Do you think he gets his extension this offseason?
I don't know now because one with the stuff going on, I think. Well, they probably knew about it. You know, they've probably known about this for a while. But I wonder if the AJB stuff is partially leverage on Nacua too. Like, you know, okay, we'll happily replace Adams if we can get AJB for the right deal, but also it allows them to kind of say, like, you know, see, we could go and get AJB real quick and just replace you. And, you know, kind of just teams use all these things for leverage. So I don't know if they're comfortable going that 40, 41, 42 for Nacua.
And I don't want to hear someone say that they're not replacing Puka. We heard that about Kupp. We heard everyone said Kupp was the greatest thing to ever grace fantasy football, and he'd be a long-term guy. And your boy came out and said this ain't gonna last long, and it sure didn't last long. Like he was one of our biggest avoids the year that he fell off, and everybody's like, "You're crazy, man! You're crazy!" And we called the Cooper Kupp drop off. I'm not saying that that's right here for Nacua, but without Matthew Stafford, Nacua is not the same receiver whatsoever. Will he be 7, 8, 9, 10? He certainly could, because he's developed. He's been turned into a player. It's kind of like you go to the gym, right? And you work out with two massive dudes. And you're not like the worst, you know, skinniest guy in the room, but you can't lift what they lift. You sit down, they put 2 plates on each side, you go back, you struggle to get one up, and they need to help you. They help you, they get the bar up, boom. You worked harder than they did. And then over like the course of 2, 3, 4 weeks, you're going to start lifting that thing 4 and 5 times. And they're not going to get any stronger, really. They'll get a little bit stronger, you know, they're plateaued. You're going to get massive. So Puka Nacua is getting elevated by being in this oversaturated Matthew Stafford environment. And once Stafford's gone, he'll be left the remnants of that work and excess production and all that. He'll turn into something that he would never have turned into, and he'll remain a version of that. Just like Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers created every single wide receiver he had. And I know Davante Adams came into the league as a good prospect, but Aaron Rodgers made Davante Adams. And when he left, Aaron Rodgers sculpted him, sent him on his way, and he had his wings, and we all know how it kind of didn't go well for him, but we know Davante Adams is still a baller. He's amazing. But Aaron Rodgers helped make him. And Puka Nacua is the same thing. Take away Stafford, he'll still be amazing because he was turned into amazing. But will he be the same amazing? Absolutely not. He has no shot at being the same player without Matthew Stafford.
And 2 other things going against the potential for them to sign Puka. Now, like, obviously, like we always say, they could sign him tomorrow and it can all be moot. But from what we're looking at right now, one, they just gave Trent McDuffie a huge contract. So they just handed out a big contract. And they have, what is it, the 16th pick or the 13th pick?
Luis.
I think there's a good chance that I think there's a good chance they take either a receiver or I wouldn't even put it past them to take Sadiq, like we talked about. Sadiq or Jordan Tyson, if one of those go to the LA Rams, you're telling me that they can't replicate what Puka does after a year or two? Now, the Stafford thing is another issue, but in terms of production and the type of offense they want to run, so that would be even more working against them. They bring in someone like that.
Yeah, I agree. Hammer, back to Hammer real quickly. Hammer, Luis, thank you for the gifted memberships, my boy. You just keep dropping thunder, bro. And
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much it. I mean, what Puka does is, it's amazing. Not saying Lamb's better than him. I'm just saying, first round. I'm not talking about running backs. I had to take a receiver. I just don't want to potentially lose in the first round. And I've just seen too much so far for me, and for that reason, I'm out. So that's all I have right now. Appreciate it.
Yeah, are you done, Hammer? Anything else?
Hey, I'll hang on the horn.
All right,
I'll hang on the horn.
Hey, Hammer, be careful drafting Bijan this year. Here's the.
Oh yeah.
here's the report.
I want Gibbs. Gibbs is my guy.
Well, no, I'm just saying because of Brian Robinson. They're the running joke right now.
B-Rob.
Yeah,
B-Rob, that dog.
The running joke around the internet right now is that people are going to be drafting Brian Robinson instead of Bijan when they go up to the board and they stick the sticker on. You won't have a problem on like a regular online, sleeper draft because it's suggested rank and is putting Bijan like number one. Like if you draft Brian Robinson Jr. on an auto pre-rank list, that's your own fault. But someone's going to go up to a sticker, pull it off. It's going to say Atlanta Falcons B Robinson.
Yeah.
They're not going to see the junior on the other one. They're going to grab B Robinson, put up on the board, and go, woo, woo. And then everyone's going to go, is that your final answer? That is final, baby. And then they're going to go, after Brian Robinson Jr. But from a fantasy perspective,
that's going to happen in so many just crazy ass, like,
from a fantasy perspective, this is a backup. He's a good backup. Everybody needs a backup. Algier was the backup. Now Algier's, obviously in Arizona. He's no better than Algier. Some could argue he's worse. Maybe he's not. But it's a backup situation. There's nothing here from a fantasy perspective. But he's a good cuff.
Close.
Definitely a good cuff. But the more talked about thing is that people are going to draft Brian Robinson Jr. on accident. And they're going to, on the stickers, if you're drafting live somewhere on an event board, they're going to be right next to each other. It's going to be Brian Robinson and Brian Robinson Jr. Or I'm sorry, B Robinson, or it'll say B Robinson Jr. I don't even think, it might say Brian like in little text above it, Brian and Bijan. And you're just not going to, you're going to see Falcons, you're going to see Robinson, and you're just going to snag that sticker up, slap it on the board. Just double take.
Pickens looks like a choir boy to Puka.
Yeah, all of a sudden, huh? Funny.
Wow.
Yeah, I love.
Also, you got to be careful in LA too. The politics. I don't know if you remember that first time he came out with that anti-Semitic thing. I'm telling you, LA is a wild place.
Yeah. Landman, call in. You hung up and you didn't stay on the phone. Get on here, Landman. All right, mute yourself, Hammer. Come back if you got anything else. I'll call on you in a second. Luis, thank you for the 10 and the 10. Hammer, thank you for the 50, you monster. BBQ, thank you for the 50. You guys are absolute dogs. Overcome with the $20 super chat, you straight up monsters. B-Rob, slightly better than Algier, says AK. I don't know about that. My BTJ Genty for Lamb, says Mookie. My BTJ Genty for Lamb. I'd rather have I mean, I'd rather have BTJ and Genty because I want Genty over Lamb. So you're getting a free BTJ in a sense doing that. And then maybe you can flip it. Maybe you just hold on and hope he does better. But you also could package that with a pick and turn that into something safer. So Genty and the safer avenue that you'll get through the means of BTJ, I definitely take. Tyler, B-Rob is not even close to Tyler Algier. Come on. See, look at the divide already. Don't act like you can't. AK says it's Bijan or see, look at me. I'm already mixing up. AK says it's Brian Robinson Jr. and RCT says, oh, it's not even close. Like, there's going to be a divide. The point is they're very, very arguable in terms of replacing that role. And with Petsing, I don't think you're going to have the even the same type of committee feel anyway. Or not Petsing, I'm sorry. With Zach Robinson gone, I don't know that we're going to necessarily. Not that Zach Robinson didn't feed the hell out of Bijan, he did, but there was a little bit of a committee feel. So with Bijan, with Zach Robinson gone, there might even be more Bijan Robinson this year. But we'll see how. We'll see how that rolls. But I'm very, very excited. Very, very excited about Bijan Robinson and everything. And while we're a little bit worried about Reese and how Reese handles, the situation, and he's dealing with the same boss that he had over in Cleveland. And I don't like Stefanski at all. Stefanski definitely, micromanaged that quarterback situation and left Reese in a bad spot, but Reese delivered. So I'm very excited about Reese. I hope Reese throws to Bijan. I think he will. He had no problem, feeding Samson at times. And I think that he knows what he has in Bijan Robinson. So I don't think there's going to be some.
He's going to be forced to. They have to throw it to him.
I don't think there's going to be any inclination to try and take Bijan off the field. Big Profit, $10 super chat. Appreciate you dropping that, big dog. Thank you very much, my man.
I smell meatloaf.
I'd have to say, thanks again, Luis. Appreciate you. I have to say, overall, my feeling here is this on this entire situation. I'm not, and as Travis said, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know where I'm at. It's okay to not know where you're at with Puka, because there's no finite direction that this is heading, because the variables aren't known. We only have what we have on the table right now. And on the table right now is that Puka's got erratic behavior. It's growing and getting infinitely more concerning. Now you have a situation where there's a very complex, potential case directed at this man's behavior, not just him being a wild man and having some weird comments and people like, well, he said this or he said that, and people are trying to cancel him or whatever. That all is bad, but that's nothing tangible. And now we have something that might be a tangible, a case where there's a restraining order against him in a situation that's being looked at. That leaves some more variables that can, take him off the field or something. Do I think he sees any sort of suspension or that this turns into anything? I can't say no, because we don't know what other evidence might come out. We don't know. But from what I gather, this is going to be more of a he said, she said. It's going to be like there was consent and to a certain degree here, and she's saying that there isn't. And there's nothing crazy. There's no report filed against him that there was an assault or something. So at the end of the day, I don't think this is going to lead to any sort of suspension, the restraining order, that situation. I don't know that it's going to go that way. I can't guarantee that there isn't something else that comes out and it gets bigger. But I'm pretty sure that case is not going to be a problem. The more concerning issue is his mentality, where he's at, what's going on with him. Why is he, acting the way he's acting? Is there some sort of head trauma? And given the fact that he's always injured and putting his body on the line, throwing his head around, probably has 50, just my guesstimation, I'm totally guessing, I have no evidence of this, this is just my opinion, probably has 15 or 50, probably 50 concussions to his name is what I would guess with this guy, the way he plays. And you don't need to have him documented. NFL players will tell you. I forget what was the player that said he had over 200 concussions, and he admitted it like it was talked about last month. He said he had over 200 concussions in the NFL. And the personality change is concerning. The loss of Matthew Stafford here in a year or less because he might not stay healthy is concerning. And I am not running away from him in 2026, but I am kind of knocking him down to 3 in a general sense. I'm not saying I won't rotate it and take Puka. And if I have 3 leagues side by side, and I'm picking at 3 overall, and the running backs are going kind of intermittently in different scenarios, that I won't go JSN, Puka, JaMarr, Chase, Gibbs, Bijan, Chase, Gibbs, JSN. Then I go another Puka, and then but I'm definitely making Puka of the top 5, and he is in my top 5 redraft still. He's in my top 5 as of now. Again, it's not bad to be unsure, but I did knock him down to the 5th spot. It is going to be Bijan, Gibbs, Chase, and JSN above him in a vacuum. Again, variety is good. Diversifying your portfolio is good. But he is falling in general to that number 5 spot behind those 4 big dogs that just feel more secure. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing to be ashamed of if Puka's the number 1 overall player. You're still drafting him in some capacity. But until we hear more, that's where I stand. That's certainly a downgrade. He was at one point during the offseason, we talked about months ago, like flirting with the number 1, 2 overall player for me. Even with the concerns long-term, my dynasty outlook has always been kind of bleaker than the average bear on Puka. I do not have a good long-term outlook for Puka. I do not see him lasting in the league at this level with this kind of tremendous stress on his body and the lack of Stafford. And when that situation vanishes, I have never been high on Puka Dynasty. But I am telling you right now that I'm dropping him from 1 or 2 to 5 until further notice. Further notice could mean he drops further. Further notice could be that he starts to dial back everything and we realize it's his inability to handle fame. But I have a feeling it's more than that. That's my final take on this situation. Travis, if you want to give me your final take on it, then I'll go to Hammer, and then we'll probably be out of here for the night. I'll answer any super chats that are lingering. Big Profit, thank you for the $10 super chat. And Luis dropped one more. I'll handle that right after Travis and Hammer give me their final takes. Go ahead, Travis, you're live.
Yeah, so just quick on, in redraft, I'm not affected at all. I had him 3rd before. I still have him 3rd. I don't think this is going to affect it. Like a lot would have to progress with this case and this incident for something to happen and affect the season. And then honestly, I think I was probably lower in Dynasty than most people. I had him as my Dynasty wide receiver 8, and I still do. So
I would love for someone
the only reason why I don't drop him now is because I had him down there to begin with. So
I would love for a pro Puka Nacua Dynasty stance to call in and give us the take. Because the take I could tell you what the take would be. The take, and I'm not going to shoot it down. I just want to hear it. I mean, maybe I'd argue with it a little bit, but the argument, I can tell you what it's going to be. He did this last year. He's the only receiver to do this. Everything's going to be about what he's done. None of their argument will be how they navigate no Stafford. None of their argument will talk about how to navigate this potential getting worse head situation. None of it's going to talk about the future. Every single bit of someone's argument about pro Puka Nacua Dynasty will talk about the past. Remember when? Remember when he did this? Remember when he did that? Remember when he did this? He's the only one to do that. He's the fastest guy to get to this. Their argument, nobody's going to call. No one's going to call because I'm already taking their argument and paring it down to size.
I think the only argument for like Puka in Dynasty for long term is just that he's so good, you're just willing to roll the dice until the wheels fall off. And that's it. Because other than that, it's hard to argue, any other reason why you'd, be really high on him. Years from now.
You know what one theory is that it's going to happen next year, and I'm not saying that this is good for Puka Nacua necessarily, but is certainly not going to give him the Stafford volume. So this is not a like a, hey, guess what? This is going to be amazing. I'm just telling you what the rumor is. The rumor is that the Rams are potentially waiting on Kyler to maybe prove himself in Minnesota, and then in 2027 he'll be a Los Angeles Ram.
Yeah, another one I was going to say is I'm sure you're going to start to hear of Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. If things don't go well for Burrow,
once Stafford starts to fade.
Sir, Burrow, sir. If things don't go well, but I do believe that the Bengals are on the right track right now. They've really improved the defense.
Yeah, me too.
Defenses look good. But the thinking about Kyler is that, Kyler is in a prove it year. His ties, that staff and that, basically McVay like kind of system. And it's almost like it's prepping him to see if he's able to jump over, revive himself, and come over to LAR. But he's also got a no tag clause, so like there's almost no ties to the Vikings after the season if he wanted to move on and go to LAR. I'm not saying that's
my pays him.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's my preferred landing spot. I think if he fails, he goes to the MLB. So. Anything else, Travis? And then, or actually, let me go over to Hammer real quick. Hammer, final thoughts? Anything else?
No, I think that pretty much is it. Probably, I'd be curious to hear pro Puka take. Again, dude, I'm not taking anything away from him. Just, again, calling it like I see it. And when I said draft, I'm not saying CeeDee Lamb is better than Puka Nacua. I'm just saying I don't want to run the risk in the first round. I believe there is that level of risk. But that, again, I might think the risk is higher than someone else, and that's my opinion. But no, that's really it. I appreciate it.
All right, call back at midnight. We'll see you then. Later, bro.
All right, peace.
All right, Travis, final thoughts, and then we'll be back at midnight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all in the super chats. Oh, real quickly, Luis says, do you think it's Garendo time in San Francisco? No, it's Jordan James is the backup, Luis. If you're gonna have anybody backing up CMC, it's Jordan James. For right now, that could change too, but right now it is Jordan James. It's not Garendo. Garendo already fell to the wayside. If they believed in Garendo, they wouldn't have signed Brian Robinson and used Brian Robinson Jr. as the backup all year. And Jordan James, now knowing the system, being more versed, they don't trust Garendo at all. I think it's a travesty, but no, Garendo is not even close to being in prime position to be the backup. Trade Harvey, Hendo, and the 1.9 for the 1.1 to take Love. Harvey, Hendo, and the 1.9. Woo! Jeez. That one's a tough one. I mean, I think I take Love because here's the thing, man.
It's safer.
The odds of Harvey and Hendy both landing, they don't feel like they're great odds. As painful as it is to say that, because Harvey alone has got some long-term concerns with the way that I love Harvey, but you gotta understand the landscape, and the landscape is that there's some risk. It doesn't mean Harvey can't be a stud. He totally could. Like, they could lean on him. He could be the next Camaro. They could lean on him for 8 years. But he also very much could lose his job. So there's volatility there. It's just the way it is with McVay. Hendo, we have no signs at all yet that they want to use him as a workhorse back. Even though if he did, he'd be a top 5 running back. Hendy would be every bit as good as Jeremiah Love. But right now, your best scenario, if you're on the Harvey Hendy side, is you get lucky. One of them does land, and they're as good as Jeremiah Love. So why not just take Jeremiah Love now? And then if the guy ends up getting a Jeremiah Love equivalent in Hendy or Harvey, then great. Your trade was even, and you both made out. I would take Jeremiah Love. It probably wouldn't. It's a tough call, but I would do that. Not having depth would make it hard, but that's the way I would approach it. Go ahead, Travis, real quick, and then we'll be back at midnight.
No, I was just trying to look and see
Thanks.
who has the most targets ever through their first 3 seasons, and I think it might be Justin Jefferson, and then I think Puka might be second after that. I don't know if there's anyone else. It's like Chase isn't, and I looked up a bunch of guys, but I mean, it is pretty amazing. Even with he only played 11 games 2 years ago, and he might be second all time in the amount of targets he's gotten. It's just so many targets go to Puka every year.
He's an amazing football player, bro. He's
I'm
amazing.
not worried about him for this year.
Yeah, it really, his unraveling probably, like, even if there was something to this situation that happened in December that we talked about and led with this TMZ story, I don't think the league is suspending him this year. If it were even to lead to something, and I don't think it will. I'm just saying if it did, doesn't feel like something that's going to be, because it's not they weren't dating. It was from what we can tell, it was just a random, like, I don't want to say hookup or whatever, but it was, so it's not like it's a domestic situation. It's a he said, she said, he crossed the line, maybe she's saying, and it's going to end up being something that the league or, especially given there was no, from what I remember, well, I mean, she filed a restraining order, but that it doesn't sound like there was any sort of like police on the scene, like kind of investigation type of thing. So it's going to be hard for anything to come of it. And if it were to, it would not happen soon. So I'm not worried about this case or situation that TMZ is reporting on that we led with affecting Puka playing time this year, 2026. And I don't think he unravels fully until Stafford's hurt or gone. And I'm not going to bet against Stafford, and bet that he gets injured 2026, but I will not bank on Puka Nacua 2027 and beyond. I'm not saying I'll write him off. I'm taking it year by year. I'm not banking on it, meaning that I'm banking on Puka Nacua being top 3 this year. I'm all in Puka Nacua still top 3 with a little bit of skepticism, and he's number 5 overall. I've just explained all that. He's now my number 3 receiver. I'm all in top 3 receiver, but he dropped to 3. He's in my top 5 overall. I'm all in 2026 at that level until things get worse. But I'm telling you, I'm going year by year, meaning 2027, I'll address it then. I am not committing to Puka Nacua 2027 and beyond. I'm fully top 5, full go right now, 2026. That's the end of the story.
Yeah. And last thing I was going to say just on Pickens, I forgot to say before. It's funny because, like, there were real questions about, character. Is he a true head case, this or that? And now it almost seems like, now that this year played out, it almost seems like he's just another kind of diva type wide receiver where if he's getting the ball and he gets his money, he'll be happy. If he doesn't, he's going to make a little noise, which is no different than, how many wide receivers could you name? So, it seems like there's a lot less concern there for me. I still see a lot of people thinking he's trouble or he's a head case, but I kind of give him a little benefit of the doubt.
I don't know if you were here for the live stream the other night where I said that he's misunderstood, totally misunderstood.
Yeah.
The fact that he was buried in that Pittsburgh Steelers situation and stepped over, and they're like, "Hey, move over, trash." Hey, DK, one dimension, and I like DK, but one-dimensional DK. Come on over here. Here, shake hands with Pickens. Hey, Pickens, you've been here. You're a veteran. Grab his bags. And by the way, here, hand him this check. It's your money. Give it to him. He's getting your money. Like, and Pickens is like, bro, I'm a top 5 wide receiver. And anybody that's watched this channel for years, and right when Ron Navy, I think, came on the show, so we're talking like 3 years ago, whatever, even probably slightly before Travis, or maybe right when Travis came, I forget when this was. but we would talk about how people would ask me who is a wide receiver that is top 5 to 10 overall that's not top 5 to 10.
Yeah.
And I'd answer Pickens all the time. I say Pickens, from a talent perspective, is nearly as good as anybody in the top 5, but he's a player that produces like well outside the top 10, and he just needs a situation. Pickens went to Dallas, didn't even ask for money, said I'll bank on myself, went out and produced top 5 numbers, was asked at the Super Bowl festivities, what about your contract? And he goes, with a big smile, very genuine, nice guy, not diva-like at all. Goes, oh, I don't know, man. I haven't even thought about that, right? Just having fun here at the Super Bowl. Like, just a calm, cool guy that was mistreated in Pittsburgh, and you can't blame him for being like, imagine if you were as good as Pickens and they didn't even think you were the second wide receiver on the team. Who here wouldn't look like a diva trying to get out of that damn situation?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Right.
You know, so I don't even think he's a diva.
Hindsight. Right, with that hindsight, it really makes you go, how much of it was just the Steelers situation?
Yeah.
And like the mess that they were causing. And really, like, I know Steelers fans might disagree with me and stuff because I get they like Tomlin still, a lot of them. But, like, everyone saw the writing on the wall with Tomlin. That shelf life was running out. He was probably leaving soon. And, like, you know, how he sat Fields down when Fields was winning and threw Russell Wilson in there, which how much better did they end up? Who knows? And so it almost seemed like Tomlin was shuffling the chairs on deck chairs on the Titanic just to try to make things work and let me get to that 9-8, and whatever he felt was best is what they were going to do. It was just kind of a mess the past couple of years over there. So I can't really put that in Pickens' lap.
Yeah, thank you, Hammer. Appreciate you, Hammer. New Age Outlaw, Hag, Hammer, Landman, FDX. Who else over here? Mikey. You guys run Rumble, bros.
I am.
You run Rumble. I appreciate it.
I am.
Aldi.
I am interested to see McCarthy with the Steelers, though. I don't love him, but I think it'll be an interesting change for that franchise because they're always, have the defensive head coach, and it'll be something different.
Rich, appreciate you too. Yeah, Landman, where you at? Landman, call in. You were on the line and you hung up, and we haven't heard from you in so long. I'd love for you to call in real quick. Call in before we end the show, and I'll come back. I won't even end the show. I'll put the screen up. I'll wait a second. Hopefully, Landman calls in, and I'll come back up on screen here if he does. Cap says Puka has other plans for post football. I think he's asking. I don't think he plays much more than 3 years. He's going to get a big payday, then retire shortly. I mean, he said he doesn't want to play past 30 because he wants to be able to play with his kid. Like, I don't think he has a kid or anything yet. I mean, maybe he has a kid. Maybe he has a kid. I don't think he does have a kid somewhere else, that we don't know about. But, he's out trying to meet, the girl that him and the girl would have kids with, and he doesn't even have kids yet.
He wants to go Hollywood. It feels like, he'll be trying to act or do whatever.
Yeah. He's totally off his rocker. All right, Travis, we'll see you at midnight.
Yep. Thanks, Smitty. Bye.
Guys, appreciate all of you. All you super chatting monsters. Dak Attack. Yeah, let's play the Pickens, Dak Attack, CeeDee Lamb on the way out the door. Landman, where are you? Landman, call in before I hit end, and I'll come back on screen and take your call.
Oh, Dak Attack. Oh, Dak Attack. Lamb. Pickens. Lamb. Pickens. Dak Attack. Dak Attack. Dak Attack. Dak Attack.
Breaking news, Carson Steele released from captivity after Lionheart sightings continued. Even while Steele was detained, they had the wrong man. Puka Nacua appears to be the Lionheart.
When times get tough, they call on a beast. That beast rises up and starts to feast. Puka Nacua will sharpen and do his part, because he the beast is the lion heart.
He is the lion heart. He is the lion heart. He is the lion heart.
Live Monday through Friday. Looks like Landman will have to call in tonight. Live whenever big news breaks. Live at midnight Eastern almost every single night. And live at 8 p.m. Eastern Monday through Friday. See you all tonight.